Hello everyone, I'm Nerdragefred, and today we're taking a look at the Siege rework that got leaks for Total War Warhammer 3. How they've changed stuff, what we can notice, and try to break that down. Join in on the adventure.
Sieging a settlement should not be an easy undertaking. Total War Warhammer 3
Alright, so straight away, we seem to be having Kairos Fate Weaver here, being able to shoot stuff, maybe from the lore. We're starting to shoot stuff from the back, and we see the horrible reskin Forsaken. Nice.
Warhammer 3 has reworked how sieges work.
Blue bars,
new
nice.
ways of attacking as well as defending.
Pink bars,
Every inch taken will cost dearly. Settlement maps are now larger, and we've introduced...
Definitely look larger here as well, like with all the different different roads here as well. Will you be able to use this? It's like 4 different roads, right? That's quite a loss, I would say. I don't know if that's gonna help you that much, but maybe if you can just get the AI or something like that to just funnel into one place, that would be better probably. It does look pretty cool though.
More variety.
But like I said in the previous one as well, it does look like it's basically the Tory Vest map.
With the fall of the Turtle
Empire
Gate,
Forts.
Miao Ying moves her army from the Snake Gate to Wei Jin in an attempt to bolster the city's defenses.
See the Peasant Spearmen. Previously, we also saw the Jade Warriors here. Our fancy Sky Junk and Sky Lanterns. I think those
Miao
are.
Ying moves her army from the
These
Snake
are Sky,
Gate
yeah, these
to
are Sky
Wei
Lanterns.
Jin
Vice
in
versa.
an attempt to bolster the city's defenses and drive Tzeentch out of Cathay. Wei Jin, capital of the Celestial Dragon Empire, is a 3-walled fortress and a testament to Cathay's architectural brilliance. When defending, wall.
Here's very interesting. Weapon teams on walls, right? Will Skaven be able to do that as well? Will it have just sails, miniguns and stuff like that on the walls? Could be very, very cool. Maybe this isn't even a wall. Maybe this is just heightened set of terrain that you can just have to walk out of. On you know, a little ramp further away. Could be. We don't know yet. We don't see any siege engines on top. We do, however, see they have artillery floating above and the Sky Junk. So that's pretty cool for them, I guess. 1-0 for Cathay.
So the first defense against an attacking army, but by no means the last. We now have the option to turn the streets into a bloody maze. Using supplies, we can build.
So this is basically the same stuff as we saw in Battle for the Brass Citadel, right? You saw that we could build barracks and traps and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Now we also, well, they have put a Terracotta Warrior up in front, which is cool, I guess, if you want to do that. With crossbowmen, it seems, behind them.
Towers, barricades, and traps. Prepare and plan.
This looks pretty uninspiring, doesn't it? Like, I really like the terracotta stuff. They look really dope. And in the lore videos, they were supposed to be sitting like in the actual wall and stuff. But doesn't really look that good when it's just getting shot at straight off from this one. But it is more missiles than what you would usually have. So
defense, but
that's cool.
Never rest easy. The first object for any attacker to overcome is the wall-mounted towers. Unfortunately for us Tzeentch invaders, towers now have wider capture areas, so defenders don't need to be as close for them to be active. This means we can spread our docked units across a larger area and pepper the invaders with arrows, bullets,
and flamers as well. That's pretty cool. Wider capture areas are pretty good. I think all of these are like, it's pretty goddamn silly right now that you have an entire place and it's kind of like you have to stand so close to it to get whoever is shooting from it to do that. It's kind of weird, but this seems like a step in the right direction. Hopefully also they'll have a better radius for like how they actually shoot, because otherwise right now it's kind of silly that you can also just stand right next to it and you won't actually be shot. Towers need to be more important.
And artillery on their approach. The might of Grand Cathay isn't enough to keep Tzeentch from breaching the walls. The walls will soon...
Pocket ladders is still something I don't really like. That's something they might... It's not going to change, obviously. Three Kingdoms had it better where they would just use grappling hooks and start climbing that. I don't know if that would be worse or better, but it does look way better than these things do. Also with how they bug out and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll be better and it won't bug out as often.
Fall. It's time to fall back to our secondary positions within the city.
Then you have several...
Our defense now lies with our barricades, traps, and towers. We'll need a new...
Then you have several layers here. It's really, really good. And once again, this is just what we had in the Battle of the Brass Citadel, where you could actually build defenses. And that's going to be really, really cool. You don't see the Mao Ying. We see an Astromancer, who has the Lore of Metal. See a couple of Jade Warriors, Celestial Dragon Warriors, Jade Warrior with Halberd, with crossbows and shields, Peasants Archers, Train Guns, Terracotta Warrior, Sky Lantern. Oh, that might actually be the Sky Junk because it's higher in the tier list, I guess. Unless they just move them, who knows? We also have the cannons, right? Yeah, the oxen-driven cannons and Xiaomin Compass, another type of cannon. Whichever one is which. I guess these are the rockets because it looks a little bit more like a rocket. And you have the Sky Junk, should be higher tier, I guess.
Currency introduced in Warhammer 3, supplies. We'll start the defense with a base number of supplies and can gain more during combat by holding locations around the settlement. Minor supply, key building, and victory points. These key points have pre-designated build locations for construction. Once a barricade or tower is constructed, it can be dismantled for a refund of supplies and rebuilt elsewhere. But
that is very cool that they have different kinds of capture points, because that means that you won't just hole up at the ends, right? You don't just have to be in one place. It also means as the attacker that you have different places to go, but maybe you'll just be more spread out. Maybe other things will happen. Being spread out still can work pretty well. As you can see here, you have a tower you're shooting from here. This is really, really good. This is something that's all the sieges needed, more towers inside the settlements, because that actually allows a smaller regiment of units to keep a lot of dudes at bay.
Keep in mind, construction and dismantling is a lengthy process. Barricades and towers are destroyed if their health reaches 0.
Here we also see the siege version of the Soul Grinder, so that's also cool. I mean, it's kind of like, it's weird that a lot of stuff gets reskinned, but I will before they announced the rosters, I would have said Cathay is 100% going to be in Warhammer 3. Mono Gods will not, because if you check the tabletop roster, they only had like 4 or 5 unique ones each, so they're going to have to do a lot of weird, wonky stuff like this. To actually fill out the rosters, because it's easier to make a Cathay roster out of scratch than it is to actually make, yes, demons, 4 different types of demon armies, and just fill that out when they already have so much stuff that's, is going for them.
Or if the supply, building, or victory point they're attached to is taken by the attackers. If this occurs, your supplies are not refunded. It's worth noting that whilst attackers can capture points, they cannot build barricades or towers.
It's going to be interesting when stuff gets destroyed, because it's definitely going to be one of those, is it worth that we just have like a magical tower here that'll just kill off from 3-4 volleys before it gets destroyed? Is that worth? We'll have to see. It's definitely going to be some form of casualty economy, essentially. Seeing what's actually worth and what place the AI might want to clump up in more, or where they're going in from, where you don't even need to defend, just have the stuff they're shooting. Maybe you're just going to have like the tier 1 towers do this.
Warhammer 3's sieges are about defenders controlling.
This also actually made me super happy. I didn't read this, I didn't understand this, at least with the Cathay roster. These Celestial Dragons, I think they are, have halberds and shields, or spears at least, because this is amazing. This is what you want in any high tier roster. Well, any high tier unit in any roster. If you do not have anti-large, charge defense, shielded, and heavily armored dudes, you're going to have a bad front line, essentially. That goes for anything. Some of them do not need that, like tree men and stuff like that for the wood elves are also cool, but I went through that. Like Silvering Guards are essentially better than Phoenix Guards, even though they're 2 steps lower on the tier list because they have shields and they survive a little bit longer. They just how the engine works, I guess.
Brawl in the streets. Warhammer 3's sieges are about defenders controlling the flow of battle, using a settlement's architecture to plan and execute layered fallbacks and hardpoints, where they can chip away at an attacker's.
I wonder if this is the flame cannons, essentially. That could be cool.
Execute layered fallbacks and hardpoints, where they can chip away at an attacker's forces. To this end, settlements have become multi-leveled with bridges and upper tiers that cross over streets, giving ranged units more opportunities to shine. A good many of these bridges and overlooks are dockable like the primary walls, giving our soldiers all the buffs and benefits of any other docked unit. In sieges, both the attacker and defender's role are tactically more challenging and more rewarding.
This is pretty cool though, because you have to capture this place, right? You can still stand up here and shoot at them, while you also stand up here and shoot them. So just having any kind of good cannon here, or like mortar, something like that, will help you quite a lot. Very likely to just like mulch down here. The actual bridges here is really, really cool. But like, let's be honest here, what are you going to do with it, really? Because it does look like you have just a choke point here. Why not just have 1 choke point instead of 3? Because 3 choke points is really just not really that much of a choke point, is it? Unless you once again manage to beat Boozle the AI to doing those things.
Bridges and
looks cool as hell though.
Cross over streets, giving ranged units more opportunities to shine. A good many of these bridges and overlooks are dockable like the primary walls, giving our soldiers all the buffs and benefits of any other docked unit. In sieges, both the attacker and defender's role are tactically more challenging and more rewarding. Settlements in Warhammer 3 have been designed with more open areas and strategic avenues.
Even this looks really cool. Imagine having a barricade right here, like they're building there, and just having mortars raining down death there. These buildings will have so much better tactical choices for the defender, because defenders do not have as like the better part right now in sieges. If you have AoE and monsters, you just roll over everything in sieges basically.
More challenging and more rewarding.
In fact, I would take fights versus 2 or 3 armies sometimes.
Warhammer 3 have been designed with more open areas and strategic avenues to hide troops in.
If it's just in a siege.
A perfect ambush spot, making flanking and devastating charges a more viable tactical strategy.
Flanking and things like that is pretty cool as well, because there's this really cool Gothic and Felix book where they are defending against chaos in a city. So these Kislevits are basically using guerrilla warfare. So what they do is they climb up on the roofs of the buildings. As the chaos run in and chase the troops through the streets, they just shoot them with crossbows, pepper them down on the streets. They get very confused, don't know what's happening. And then as soon as they're actually managing to cope with the situation, heavy cavalry just comes, sweeps off the streets and murders most of them, and just keep on doing that.
Making flanking and devastating charges a more viable tactical strategy. In overview, Warhammer 3's sieges offer a diverse array of fresh settlements to overcome.
This is also amazing if it works like this, because now you can sit here and shoot, but can you have archers up here? That's cool. Having troops down here and shooting from up here is amazing. That is what I want to see, because some of the Thrones of Britannia battles or siege maps have stuff like that, and it's just so cool. You also get a damage buff from shooting when you have a height advantage on your archers and things, so that works really well.
To overcome and protect. They allow defenders to prepare for a new kind of battle occurring after the attackers have taken the primary walls.
Again in the background.
They add a new currency to manage and spend on fortifying defensive fallback positions with barricades, towers, and traps, which are used to further repel.
See, this is also insane. Some will have really trouble with taking on siege maps, some factions, because when you can hold up like that and have a magical tower bombard you, like the melee units down there will be slaughtered. It's gonna be so one-sided. This is one of the things that I get really nervous about with the Khorne roster, because Khorne roster is mainly melee, right? What are they supposed to do here? Is punch through harder? What if they're actually defensible? What if something is as hard as an Ironbreaker standing there getting shots? Well, helping the opponent getting shots. What they're supposed to do? They just die. That's what they're gonna do. Can have a monster maybe, but most of them won't punch through. You're gonna need to have so much punch to get through that and not die to stuff like this that it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be cool to see regardless.
They allow for a multi-layered experience where units can be docked to overlooks and walls within the settlement itself, and encourages real-time reorganizing of defenses
look really
to
cool.
adapt to an ever-changing battle. All of these features, coupled with dynamic...
This is looking really cool. It is like the Tory Vest map, but larger. No, I don't know if it's larger. It might actually be the same one. That probably was the blueprint for this one, I guess, or like the prototype. I doubt you can go up that one, but you can see you have 4 different places to go up. That's kind of like the Empire settlements as well, where you have the middle one that branches off and then 2 sideways. It's kind of the same here, but a little bit wonkier.
Dynamic new settlement designs make for challenging and satisfying sieges packed with...
Here also good. I think this is the victory points. You're going to stand here, so you can actually have a choke point here and there and there. So still 3 choke points, maybe 4 even. 5? No. Victory point has to be over here, right? So it's only this choke point. God, I hope it's just this choke point. That would be so much cooler. Probably one more over here. I don't know why they have to try to balance these maps so much. Just make it so that the defender have all of the advantages. Might sound a little bit silly and like not that great, but in real life, sieges are tough, man. You would just wait them out because that was easier because you didn't want to die. Owning a giant city should be good. I mean, you can probably use barricades. You can probably build around here to actually help you out. And hopefully you can make the AI walk the path you want to. But in reality, you should always need a larger attacking force than defenders have to take a city, unless they are wildly more, well, better quality-wise. Because sieges are too easy now, man. You can actually take one, or like with one good army, you can take on 2 or 3 in a sieges. Because they get trapped in there. You just burn them with flame storm or any kind of AoE or just artillery, honestly.
Highs, lows, and phenomenal visuals. Wei Jin has fallen, but the forces of Tzeentch will struggle to reach the celestial city above. The Dragon Emperor is safe for now. Even so, his daughter has barely managed to escape with her life. To Nangao she travels.
I wonder if this is just for the trailer, what they're going to do there, because they say that she flees. Right now, if you get trapped in a siege and it falls, you die. That's just how it is. But if you can flee, it definitely gives more credence to like the story of the character, more role-playing. And that would actually be cool. Obviously, it's not really that fun to have somebody flee all the time. But it's also one of those things like, why would they just get wiped out when they flee away, right? You see that a lot in sieges. They just flee into the city, wiped out later on. This is probably one of the last choke points right here. It's pretty large as well. You probably need like 2 units right here shooting. It's also a little bit of a height advantage. So if you have maybe 2 dudes right here, maybe in a V formation or arrow one, a little bit up like that. So you get that sweet flanking bonus on them when they come in. Have somebody shoot from here. Can probably hold that for a long time, but it's a very, very large walkway here.
Struggle to reach the celestial city above. The Dragon Emperor is safe for now. Has barely managed to escape with her life. To Nangao she travels.
Sieges have needed love for so long. I'm really, really high for this. There's a couple of things there. Artillery should be able to be on walls, I think. It's nice that they're giving the player so many more advantages. I always think they should have more, but very, very likely being able to build stuff will be such a huge advantage that a lot of people will scream for this to be nerfed like the first week or so, because everything will hinge on what kind of counter mechanics you have for buildings. Like what are some of them supposed to do here, right? What are you supposed to do here? If you don't have counter mechanics, what are you going to do? In Three Kingdoms, you have really deadly towers. Well, you had very deadly towers. They've been nerfed a couple of times. But you could just use fire. Fire would just burn it all down. What will you do here? Hopefully, you won't just die, that's for sure.
Repel invade.
So everything will hinge on counter mechanics. How good this is, I guess. It would be cool to have artillery on the walls. Maybe later. We'll see. At least you can have the weapon teams. If the crane guns are weapon teams, we'll have to see that. Anyway, that's it for this time. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Nerdragefred. I stream most days on twitch.tv/Nerdragefred. Like, subscribe, comment what you think. If you didn't like the video, like anyway. Like, this is a really small channel. I need all the likes and subscribers I can get, man. Come in and check out the Twitch as well. Let me know what you thought. And I'll see your cute faces next time.